Hello, fellow patriots. How's everybody doing today? Okay, so joining me soon is the lovely Miss Sandra Solomon. Sandra Solomon is an ex-Muslim. She's a heavy critic of Islam. She is a big advocate for free speech as well. She's attended rallies and protests all across the country. She's even traveled to Israel and to Europe to further spread her message and to gain more knowledge and experience in regards to the global political issues that we face. She is a fantastic woman. She's a workhorse, non-stop in terms of political activism. So it's a pleasure to be welcoming Sandra Solomon on with me live. I'm going to go ahead and give her an invite. Where are you here, Sandra? Should be coming on shortly. Hey, Sandra,
Hello.
how are you?
Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Everything going well with you? You enjoying the holidays?
Yes, very much. Yes, I'm enjoying. How about your holiday?
It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. The cold weather is kind of brutal for traveling, but other than that, I've really been enjoying just spending some time with family and relaxing in general. Yeah. So I
Of course,
understand.
we need some time to relax and take a little bit of a break. And I love the way you play the guitar.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that was a nice little treat for me and for everybody else. I understand that
Beautiful.
you've recently been talking with a counselor, Miss James Pasternak. He's been pushing for a ban on what he calls hate rallies here in the city. So could you tell us a little bit about the conversation you had with Counselor James Pasternak?
Yes, Mr. James Pasternak actually, when I first saw the video with him or the with CTV, I took the initiative action right away. The next day, I called the office, and I was not even, I was just to give it a try, to talk to him and see how it goes. I wasn't expecting that he will actually call me back
Mm-hmm.
and open the door for me to have a quick meeting for him with him to explain about so-called hate rallies, the way they try to label us
Mm-hmm.
with. But thanks God, I appreciate I appreciated his offer, and we talk, and he. He actually gave me the chance to meet him in the city hall where the council they meet all the time, and they talk and discuss different issues. There was a
Mm-hmm.
meeting there, and I went there and I waited for him until he finished his speak about different issue. And it was not a long meeting. It was very quick, not even about 10 minutes, but at
Mm-hmm.
least he gave me the chance. Basically, what I told him is straightforward. I'm the one who's responsible organizing all these rallies, and I'm ex-Muslim. I escaped Sharia law. I told him very quick a little bit about me and why I'm doing this. And I said to him, the very reason that we're doing these rally, it's for mainly we're standing against motion M103. The fact I'm ex-Muslim and I experience how living under 100% Sharia law, and to me, motion M103, it's a friend law from Sharia law coming to call us, and we are practicing our right of a freedom of speech. It's in
Mm-hmm.
our charter. And I told him as well about that our chanting all the time, no M103, Trudeau got to go. I told him straightforward, we don't want Trudeau, and we are against the Islamization of Canada.
Okay, was Mr.
And
Pasternak receptive towards what you were
yes,
saying? Was he actually hearing you out, or was he kind of just brushing you to the side?
not really. He was very receptive. He was listening, very careful of everything I say. And actually, also like when I engaged him about, when I told him about, I said to him, we don't, our rallies is not a hate rallies. Why I told him about the fake media, the fake
Mm-hmm.
news. They're trying to twist the truth and make us look bad. And the fact that CTV, they play a little bit of a video
Mm-hmm.
It shows, when Antifa attack us actually. And I said to him, I have the same exact video.
Mm-hmm.
I can, if I have the money and the time, I will sue the CTV for slandering and misleading people because I have the exact
Yeah.
same video, and they play it in a way they want to make us look bad. And it was actually Antifa who
Mm-hmm.
attacked us at that day. And I said to him, no one is talking about Antifa. They come with the mask, they push the police, they're ready to fight, they don't respect the law. And we are always behind the police. And I told him, ask all the police in Toronto, they know me, they know who I am. Every time we come, we keep the peace. We don't cause any problem. We keep the property even safe.
Yeah, we're the ones
We
that call the police to make sure that there's some sort of
exactly.
security measures there so that nobody gets hurt.
Exactly, we are the one who actually in keeping the peace, and I told them straightforward, we are against Islamization of Canada. We are against Motion M103, brought up by Ikra Khalid, and we are. No one is talking about the actual hate rallies that happen when the Palestinian do the Al Quds Day, and Palestinian not too long ago. I said to him in Mississauga there were a Palestinian rally calling for killing the Jews and anti-Semitism and preaching and promoting hate and anti-Semitism, calling for killing the Jews and destruction of Israel. And the mayor Bonnie Crombie, there was an open letter for her to take an action, and she actually did nothing about
Nothing.
it. And actually, he responded and he said, "Yeah, Bonnie Crombie, she might not do anything about it." So I said to him, "Well, thank you. At least you know something." I'm here with all respect to you, and I really appreciate your meeting. I appreciate the fact that you give me the chance to
Yeah.
speak. I said to him, no, like we need the chance to speak our mind. We are just a concern. I said to him, everyone who comes to the rally, we coming from all different races, from all different
Right.
faith, from all different race. I said there is a African, there is Asian, there is Arabs. I'm Arab. I'm Palestinian. I came as an immigrant to this country, and I said to him, we are all. I came to this country. It's a secular country, separating from church and state. I don't want to see Sharia law. I escape Sharia law and honor killing and horrible things that I witnessed and I saw in Saudi Arabia. I don't want
It's
to see
very
it
hard
happening
for
in
him to,
Canada.
sorry, it must have been very hard for him to argue against that, right? As a woman
Yes,
coming from the Middle East who's experienced the dangers of Islamic fundamentalism firsthand, it's very hard to look you in the eyes and say, I don't believe you, or I'm not sympathetic towards your cause. For the people watching who are unfamiliar with what we're talking about right now, James Pasternak is a Toronto City Council member who has tried to put a ban on what he calls hate rallies here in Toronto, referring to the anti-Trudeau rallies, the anti-M103 rallies, and as well the Al Quds Day event, which is basically just a hate fest against Jews in Israel. So Sandra Solomon
yeah,
contacted him, asked if she could speak with him to let him know that, he's got this all wrong. The fake news media has distorted reality, has basically brainwashed him and many others into thinking that we're all about hate and white supremacy and that kind of stuff. And in reality, it's the furthest thing from the truth. So here we have former Muslim Sandra Solomon, who is a big advocate for free speech, very, very critical against Islam, addressing him firsthand. And I'm very, very happy that he was actually receptive towards what you were saying, Sandra. He gave you the time of day. He actually heard you out. And hopefully moving forward, he can kind of re-examine his position on banning what he calls hate rallies here in the city. So thank you very much, Sandra, for taking that initiative, for going the extra mile. I was blasting him on Twitter, sending him pictures of all the different people from different ethnic backgrounds, different cultural makeups, and he never responded to me. A lot of other people also took to Twitter and blasted him. So I'm really happy that he actually responded to you, and hopefully we can put this to rest moving forward. And now he
yeah. He
has
actually
invited
was
you.
very nice at the end, and he gave me his card, and he said next year we're gonna have a full discussion of this regarding to the motion. And
Mhm.
he actually offered me. He said I will contact you. Offered me to give me the chance to speak in front of all consulate in the city hall in Toronto, and
That's
of this moment
amazing.
to happen.
That's great. So I'm
Yes,
sure
I'm
you're going to want a
honored,
lot of
Ronnie. It's
support
like
there. We're going to try
this
to
is
get some
my honor
patriots there, of
to
course.
be to represent all the patriots.
Yeah.
It's
We,
it's
we
honor for me to present all the patriots. I said to him, We are, it's not about a grouping and all that. I said everyone, individuals, a concerned Canadian citizen. And I told him, look what Trudeau is doing. He opened the door for ISIS to come, and he doesn't want to even put them in jail, or to hold them. Like I said, what are you expecting us to do, knowing that there is a terrorist walking freely in the country to
Hmm.
protect our women and our kids and our children? He was very receptive, and thanks God he will give me the chance to speak in next year, hopefully. When is the time for it? I will let you know, and hopefully we can get many patriots to come and support me in the at that time, at that day.
Yeah, I'll for sure be there, and I'll try to get as much support for you as I can, get as many people down there, and really raise awareness on this and show people that, this is not a hate group, this is not a white supremacy group or
No.
anything like that. Um,
Exactly. I know I have a first-hand experience as well with many Canadians, like white Canadians, I say, when I first came to this country, and I'm dealing with so many of them, and they helped me a lot, and I like from different reasons, and I never witnessed and I never experienced any kind of racism, and they treat me like a queen when I first came to this country, and I never saw any kind of a sign of racism, and Canadian treating other people or immigrant as a second class or anything like that. No, actually, no. They were very open and very loving and very tolerant. And actually, I was like, even with the in the beginning, the struggling with the English, they're very patient for people who doesn't even speak the language. They don't look at us as a down, and be like, you know what I mean, as if we're not
yeah, like
educated
a
enough or
second-rate citizen or
good enough.
something like that. I feel like
Exactly,
most
especially with the with
Canadians.
the struggling with the language. I'm still doing it, and I see how you guys handle me every time I say patriot. The patriot is with the P, not the P. Forget it.
No, no, you're doing a wonderful job, Sandra. I think most Canadians feel like as long as someone's putting in the effort to learn the language, to adapt to the culture, that's all we really want, right? And you've done obviously a fantastic job at that. You totally embrace Canadian culture. You're 100% a Canadian patriot. And to be honest,
Yes.
Sandra, I don't know exactly where the movement would be if it wasn't for you. Initially, the first rally that I attended to, I seen you up there on the megaphone telling people of your experience, warning of the creeping sharia that's coming into our country, and it inspired me. I'm like, you know what, more people need to do that. Like, this woman has bigger balls than half the men that I know, and that really inspired me to get more
I
involved
trust
in.
me. I am nothing. I am nothing with all of you guys. And when I saw many people and many patriots and many Canadian coming out and supporting me in this rally, I felt even encouraged more. I am nothing without you. I really appreciate that people start to listen and come out to the rallies. Even a small number. I started with me alone, and then all of a sudden, all these number growing. And I hope and I pray all the time that next year it's gonna be year of victory, and more people will come out, and
I
more
think
rallies
so.
will be even
I,
bigger and bigger.
I'm very encouraged about what I see going on, and I'm really, really hopeful about moving forward to 2018. Trudeau's
Yes.
got to go, and I think more and more people are
Amen.
waking up to that.
Yes, he gotta go. Finally, enough is enough. We cannot take it no more. What more than bringing, as I said yesterday, I like bringing the refugee who escaped ISIS, and then a few months later bring ISIS, the one who refugees supposedly escaped them, and the refugee are quiet about it, and the Muslim community quiet about it.
Yes,
I
yes.
would love to see refugee coming out at the door of the parliament, making a big rally, calling Trudeau on his action regarding bringing ISIS. I
That's
would love to see many imams and many Muslims coming out and speaking against the decision of leaving ISIS walking freely without justification for the action, leaving like this is they betrayed the country, and they actually commit the crimes. They're criminals. How come you bring in rapists and criminal? They behead and they raped, and you
yeah,
bringing them here and give them all the privilege to reintegrate them?
yeah.
Uh, I'm sorry, that's beyond insane and beyond. How can we feel safe? Where is the police department, RCMP? Where is the military? We need a military action. We need all kind of action.
That's a
Every
great
Canadian,
point,
a
Sandra.
true Canadian, should stand against this, and we should not be quiet about it. And hopefully next year we will take it to a higher, different level, the
Yes,
movement.
I think we have to. That's a fantastic point that you raised there. Refugees coming from places that have faced the kind of violence coming from various terrorist groups, especially ISIS, they need to
Hmm.
speak up. They need to speak up against the Trudeau
Yeah.
government and say, what the heck is going on? This makes no sense. This is insane, just like you said.
And don't tell me they don't understand what's going on, because guess what? As an Arabic speaker, check every Arabic store. They have all many kind of and lots of newspaper in Arabic.
Hmm.
They know what's going on, even if they don't understand the English. There is lots of newspapers in Arabic, always talking about what's going on in the at the political level and everything. Articles they will know even if they don't speak English.
Yeah, there's no
These kind of
excuse.
decision, it's written in Arabic. They know it. They
Hmm.
know what's going on in the
Yeah.
country. No excuse.
Speaking of Arabic, Sandra, you play an integral role in this movement because you speak Arabic, because you can read the language and interpret the Quran in its original form. So they can't sneak anything past you, so to say, and say, oh, you don't understand the language or you're misinterpreting. No, you do understand the language. You come from that. You understand it 100%. So they can't kind of deflect the same way that they can towards purely English speaking people like myself. So I really appreciate that about your work. I've seen different videos that you've done where you're actually reading passages from the Quran in Arabic and saying, listen, this is what they are saying. This is what they are teaching us. Don't believe the lies. Don't believe the deceptions. Don't believe the taqiyya that is coming from a lot of these Muslim fundamentalists. So I really appreciate the fact that you can bring that element to the table and really educate people from an authentic point of view.
Exactly, and as I always repeated, the source of the problem it's the Quran. We need to recognize and the Quran it has to be recognized at the government level as a hate literature. That's the root of the problem. I always take it to the book. It's not the people. If
Mm-hmm.
Muslim, when every Muslim think for themselves and actually study the Quran the way they're supposed to, and with away from being influenced
Mm-hmm.
from the imams and anybody, you think for themselves. Trust me, many Muslims they leave Islam when they actually start thinking for themselves, when they actually start reading the Quran in a way, in a form of a criticism, and reading it aside of removing the holiness, the from it, and just criticize it and read it. Actually, many Muslims they leave the Islam just because when they read actually the Quran. So the Quran itself, it's the root of the problem, and it is a hate literature, and that's what we need to work on. Hopefully next year, that's exactly what I'm taking it to this level.
Do you have any hope, or do you believe that Islam could perhaps reform itself in any sort of way? Do you think that perhaps Muslims coming into the West are going to think more critically, just like you are, and perhaps re-examine their faith? Are you hopeful about that, or do you think that we essentially have to shut down the borders, we have to totally ban Islam, or do whatever we can to kind of label this as a cult or a hate group? Do you have any hope for Islam to reform, or do you think we just have to totally rid ourselves of it?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I don't support reformation of Islam. There is no way we can reform it. Islam itself, as ideology, it's not gonna be reformed. The Muslims themselves, they can be reformed when they actually leave Islam, and because the ideology itself, it's a political ideology, totalitarian ideology masked with religion, and we have to acknowledge that, and we have to acknowledge that the Quran itself, it's the source of the all the acts of coming of all these jihadists and the terrorists, following literally word by word the word of the messages of the Quran and the teaching of Muhammad, the founder of Islam. How can you reform Muhammad? There is no way to reform him. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he did, whatever he said, it's there. We cannot do it. We cannot do anything about it. Because Islam coming, actually, it's not just the Quran, it's Muhammad himself, the founder of Islam. Uh, he did he marry Aisha at age of 9? Yes. How can you reform that? Did he kill people? Yes. How can you reform that? Did he lie? Yes. Did he rape? Yes. Did he took
Mm-hmm.
Safiya as a sixth slave, the Jewish
Mm-hmm.
woman, after killing her father and husband? How can we reform? that. So basically, Muslims, they need to come face the reality and face the truth and re-examine their faith and re-examine their book and re-examine Muhammad himself. Supposedly, he is the role model and he is a prophet. He's man of God. He's a righteous and all that stuff. They need to remove all the bigotries and stop taking it so personally. Where when we criticize Islam, we criticize Islam, not Muslims. We love Muslims. I pray for them all the time. I do meet with lots of Muslims. We talk with lots of Muslims. I wish for them all the best, and I want them to actually think for themselves. And Sharia Allah itself, it's a political system, Ronnie. It's not just a form of, it's not a daily basis what you how you should pray or whatever, how you should
Yeah, it's
fast
not
and all that
simply
stuff.
just an innocent religion. There's so much more embedded into it. I do acknowledge Islam as a religion, but it also is a cult. It also is a political ideology, and it also is a threat
Exactly.
to our way of life.
How can
Um,
we cannot do that? The political Islam, it's like infringed now in our system with the Muslim Brotherhood. And I actually give Mr. James Pasternak a book written by John Gondolo. He's a Marine, a former Marine. He trained FBI and all that in US, and he wrote a book, Raising Jihadi Generation, explaining how the Muslim Brotherhood infringed in our society with their organization, and especially Motion M103. It's
mhm.
coming actually from them as well. So we have to acknowledge the danger of the political Islam. That's why they go government.
Yes, yes. I
That's
think
why
it's
Islam,
really
they call it Islamic states. And their final goal to build the worldwide Islamic caliphate, to bring the flag of Islam on top of every, on the White House, on the parliament, and every government building, to dominate and control and force Sharia law on the people of that land. Period.
absolutely. That is the political global goal of Islam, and anybody who does the research, anybody who actually looks into it will arrive at that conclusion. Speaking of Motion M103, I know in the past you tried to get a hold of Iqra Khalid. You tried to debate her or have some sort of confrontation with her. Were you successful with that? Were you successful with organizing or setting anything up perhaps for the future, or did she just shut you down outright?
Actually, I was I was so lucky that day. I walked into the office and she's right there at the in front of my face. I was so lucky. I was able to give her my letter in her hand on the video. It shows that she actually received it, and I emailed it and I faxed it, and I called the office many times after that. They took my number and I told them who I am, and I'm still like calling her for an in meeting on a debate to prove that Islam is religion of peace, and M103, it's not introduction of a blasphemy law coming from Sharia law. Yes, they kind of keep telling me, oh, okay, we'll deliver the message. Thank you for your call. And that's it. And they don't answer me back. But the
So
fact
she
now,
hasn't
we're in the
responded
holiday
since then.
season. Exactly. Now when the holiday season, and I'm waiting after the new year when the everything goes back to normal, definitely I'm gonna approach her again and again. I'm gonna try to do even more stuff, and I'm doing as well the M103 Islamophobia studying project. After the new year, we're gonna be going to different mosques. I already went to a couple of them in Ottawa. I'm gonna continue this, and most of it is gonna be on videos, so people gonna
Great.
see what I'm doing. Yes, I'm gonna go to the mosques. I'm gonna try to approach the Muslim community to see what I have a questionnaire set up for them already, and to see if they can speak about M103. And also, I'm gonna try to do some interviews with some imams if they agree, and try to see if there's any imams willing to have a public, I won't call it debate, let's call it discussion, to
Public
prove their
discussion.
point. If you're calling, yeah, if you're saying Islam's religion of peace, fine, prove it.
Prove it.
If you're
Yeah.
calling, if you don't want to spread Sharia law in Canada, fine, prove it. We work with evidence,
Yes.
and
I
we
was
have to
in
have intellectual challenge with them. We have to challenge them intellectually.
Yeah, I had a mini debate with a woman on the street. I asked her, how is Islam made the world a more peaceful place. I did a little video segment on that where I asked a whole bunch of people. One of the conversations that lasted maybe about 20 minutes, I didn't put the whole part in the video because it was meant to just be little clips. But we got into it, and she's like, well, tell me how Christianity has made the world a more peaceful place. And I'm like, well, right away, I can give you a quick example. In America, it was the Quakers that were responsible for freeing slaves. It was the Quakers that said, hey, if God created all man equally, how are we possibly going to justify enslaving an entire race of people? That's unchristian of us. So right away, I can prove that basically Christianity played a huge role in releasing the slaves. And to me, that makes the world a better, more peaceful place. So I asked her again, can you explain to me how Islam has in any way made the world a more peaceful place? All she did was scratch her head. She couldn't think of anything because, of course, it hasn't made the world a more peaceful place. So I think it's really
Exactly,
important.
and all the way, see, like many Muslims,
peace, explain it.
yes, many Muslims, as soon as you ask them about Islam, they don't answer right away about Islam. They actually always take it to either the Bible or Christianity or Judaism or
they mention
you know what I mean?
Crusades or something like that.
They mention the Crusade, whatever. Yeah, ask them about Quran. They answer you, well, what about the Bible? Right away, I'm like, I'm asking you about the Quran. Forget the Bible now. You know what I mean? Answer the question right away.
Yeah, there are some things in the Bible, I think, that when interpreted on a fundamental level, most Christians have kind of come up with their own interpretations of it. Like, say, for instance, there's one passage that says women shouldn't wear the same garments as men. I think it's perfectly fine for women to throw on a pair of jeans and sweatshirts, and I don't think too many Christians would have an issue with that. But in Islam, everything is interpreted on a very fundamental level. And when it's say comes to like female mutilation, female genital mutilation, there's one hadith, I believe, that says it's honorable for women to have circumcision. It's honorable for women to be circumcised. So if you're interpreting that on a literal fundamental level, you're probably going to want to have your wife or your daughter circumcised, you know, mutilated. So I think the worst, when Christianity is interpreted on a fundamental level, there's only so much bad that kind of comes from it. But when Islam is interpreted on a fundamental level, you have people blowing themselves up in suicide bombs to complete jihad, right? So I think it's two totally different types of religions, two totally different types of animals that we're dealing with.
Exactly. And also don't forget the Bible, it's descriptive, and the Quran is perspective, like perspective, you know what I mean? It's like there's a perspection, you know what I mean? They take it word by word, you know, the Quran, it's order, do this, do that, go for jihad, kill the kafir. Prescribed, exactly. The Bible, it's a more spiritual book. It's a historical book. We don't take it. There's a verse in the Bible. It says, "The letter kill, but the spirit gives life." We don't take everything literally, word by word from the Bible. That's a whole different discussion. We're not gonna discuss with Muslims Bible and Quran and all that, like Islam and Christianity and all that. And aside of the Bible, aside of the Quran, we have 1400 years of a proven history of Islamic conquest. Forget the Quran, forget the Bible. What about 1400 years proven history? Exactly, of the Islamic conquest and building the caliphate. After Muhammad's death, there was Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Ali bin Abi Talib, Uthman bin Affan, and Ali bin Abi Talib, and then the Umayyan, the Fatimiyyan, the Abbasiyyan, all these Islamic caliphate, one after another, and they spread and they took over all the way to Spain. They call it Al-Andalus, Andalusia. They call it Andalusia. They want to bring back this age. They want to conquest. Actually, they don't even, Islam, at the end of the day, it doesn't believe in border. There's no border. What's the border of the Islamic State? Again, Islam, it's a state. It's not a religion. That's why they support, you know, borderless nations. They want to break down sovereignty. They want to break down nation borders so that Islam can essentially flood into the West and multiply. And they multiply. They make lots of babies, and they this is they because they wanna cause the demographic changes as fast as possible. That's why they want to create the no-go zones as fast as possible. They build massive numbers of mosques as
Huge,
fast as
massive
possible.
mosques. Yeah.
Huge. Why? Why? Think about
To
it.
build up the area into a
Massive number of people, massive number of mosques, get involved into political level in forcing, you know what I mean, and claiming that they are a victim and play the victim card, and they are being treated with discrimination and hate and all that stuff. It's all laying the ground in civil way,
and
you
that's
know,
where we get
to
the marriage between modern liberalism and in Islam. It all makes sense when
yes,
you perceive it from that level. Liberalism, communism, it's all about this global community breaking down borders, and that just creates the perfect platform for Islam to seep its way into the rest of the world. So you have that compatibility, that collusion, so to say, between Islam and the globalists. When you were
yes,
mentioning
I
all the
agree with
different
you
names earlier,
100%.
all the different Arabic names, it just it kind of blows my mind away because it's so hard to keep up with all the different names, all the different terminology. And again, that's why I say you're such an integral part of the movement, because you're able to hold that information. You're able to, just spew it out on call, where somebody like me, I'm not as familiar with the language. I'm not as, sorry, I just dropped something there, familiar, with the
It's
different
okay.
names and the pronunciation. So it's much harder to retain that information. I think a lot of other Canadians, a lot of other English-speaking people can relate to that. I find it's easier for Islam to kind of understand our political system and the key players involved in our political game, because it's a guy like Donald Trump or,
Yeah.
Billy Smith or something like that. It's very easy to remember these names. But when it comes to Islam, remembering all the different imams, remembering all the different political figures, even countries and cities, it's very, very hard. So that's just something that I kind of want to point out there. And it really shows how valuable, again, you are to this movement.
And actually mentioning about the imams, I mentioned to Mr. James Pasternak about Toronto chaplain. His name is Muslih Khan, when he openly said marrying 9 years old is permissible, and he is Toronto supposedly police chaplain, and no one stopped him for this such a barbaric statement that he said. And also I told him about the three imam, Ahmed Abdul Qadir Qandil, Saeed Rajih, and another imam openly saying whoever leave Islam should be executed. And I have the video, it's on my YouTube channel, and I reported them to the police before, and they did not take any action.
Nothing.
They are
Nothing.
openly saying whoever in Canada, this is
Yeah.
Canadian imams in the Canadian soil, on the Canadian soil, they say in the mosque, they preach and they telling people whoever leave Islam should be executed.
Now
What is this?
imagine I was a Christian, pastor or priest saying that same
Exactly.
thing. Imagine how it would be taken. He
Yes.
would be, it'd be all over the media, it'd be plastered all over social media. They would be trying to make Christianity look like this insane cult type thing like they do in Hollywood all the time. And here we have actual evidence of an imam calling for the death of anybody who leaves the faith, and nothing, everybody's just silent. It's right here in Canada. It's not like this is happening far away in the Middle East or something like that. This is happening right here, and you're willing to go the extra mile, attending all these different rallies, creating all these different protests, and that actually seeking out the police, and nothing. Unbelievable.
Nothing. And talking about the police, this is one thing, and I already started it, but again, because it's the season now and everyone is busy, after the new year, I already have like two kind of flyers. I'm gonna go from many police stations to to create awareness for them about the root of Islam, the problem of terrorism in Islam. And actually, one of the police station, one police officer, she actually was open with me, and she said to me to go to another station. They might give me the chance to speak to the police officer in their if I can give a seminar or something to explain to them the
That would
root
be
of
great.
jihad and terrorism coming from, as you said, the fundamental classical Islamic book, the Quran in Arabic. And As well, I'm going to be approaching many schools and the school board as well to create awareness about mental health of the kids when they, because now they are starting, opening the door for many imams and many people who's doing da'wah to the kids in the schools and bringing the Quran and Islamic books where it's a secular schools. No one, no. They took the Lord prayers and we said, okay, they took the Bible, fine, no problem. Keep it secular then. Don't bring anything else.
Right.
And now they're even changing some washrooms for the Muslims, student, for them to be able to do their wudu for their
Yeah.
prayer and give them a small rooms to do their prayer. And yet, I grow up in Saudi Arabia, 100% Islamic country. We never did even one prayer in school.
Unbelievable.
I never prayed in school, really.
Like,
There was no prayer room. There was no prayer room in school in Saudi Arabia, 100% Sharia law.
and that's what we're looking at.
And according to Sharia law, Muslims are not really obligated to pray at the right on time. They're not supposed to. The prayer actually is not even mentioned in the Quran.
Really?
Yeah. How easy they, and actually as well, I'm gonna be doing more videos about the niqab, ban the burqa. Why Canada should ban the
That would
burqa?
be great.
The burqa and the niqab, it's not even mentioned, not even in the Quran, not even in the hadith. And it's
See,
not
I had a conversation with a Muslim street preacher who's actually saying the same thing, and I was shocked. He was the first, I guess, Islamic fundamentalist that said there's nothing in the Quran that actually says a woman should be covered from head to toe. And I'm like,
nothing.
excellent, this is great. You need to be explaining this to more imams and to more Muslims who are supporting this, because it's just silly to have a person completely covered from head to toe. We have a face for a reason. We have
Yes.
more muscles in the human face than we have anywhere else in the body. It's there to convey emotions. It's there to express different ideas, different opinions physically. And when you can't see a person's face, when you can't make that connection with somebody, it's impossible to have any form of relationship with them. So I believe that a burqa is an oppressive form of
Yes.
clothing that no woman should ever wear.
Yes, amen to that, and the fact that they are using the egg, sometimes I always say it, knowledge is power. When people are knowledge about Sharia law, when people knowledge about, remember the guy who had to pay $12,000 to a Muslim couple just because he entered their home with the shoes, and yet nowhere in the Quran, nowhere in the Hadith says that Muslims they have to take off the shoes when they pray.
Right.
Nowhere.
Right.
And they claim that he failed to accommodate their religious belief, and it's not even there. See, if this guy was knowledge about it, he could have won the case. And if
or if
our
his
judge
lawyer was more knowledgeable about it, I'm not too sure if he hired one
Yeah.
or if he represented himself, but
Yes,
exactly, knowledge is power, and people have to arm
knowledge is
themselves. They have to
power.
equip themselves with this information so that whether they're in a debate or in a conversation or like a lawsuit, like the guy you're describing there, they can
Yeah.
actually fight back.
Actually, yes, and that's why I'm working hard to build a course. All what you need to know about Islam in 5 days. It's like intensive course. It's gonna teach people A to Z about Islam in as short as possible, as with a lots of materials and evidence and legit evidence, and no one can refute it. No Muslim on the face of the planet can refute it. I'm working hard to build this course, and hopefully in the future I will find the right sponsors to take it and for me to be able to spread it for people to be educated. Because if you want to Google it or go YouTube, you're gonna get lost.
Yeah,
You're gonna get lost. It's
absolutely.
Not. It doesn't work.
You're going to be flooded with left-wing information. You're going to be flooded with all these different interpretations of the Quran, and yeah, it's a nightmare. It's nice to be able to know and have a direct conversation with someone like yourself. Before we finish up here, there's a couple other questions that I want to ask you. What's your opinion about the word Islamophobia? Would you say that you're Islamophobic? Would you describe yourself as an Islamophobe? How do you feel about that term in general?
It's the most silliest, stupid terms I ever heard in my life, because me protesting at the door of the mosque and I scream, no, show no phobia, show no phobia. You know what I mean? What is it? It's something came, we know it started from the Iranian regime started it when they wanted to force the women to wear the hijab after the Khomeini whatever revolution, and then the Muslim Brotherhood. They took it the terror. It's recognized. See, many people they need to understand the Muslim Brotherhood. It's been recognized. It started in Egypt, and Egypt they recognized the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. And yet, we are here in Canada, we cannot even recognize them as a terrorist organization. How
Yeah.
insane is that? And Ikra Khalid, the one who brought the motion M103, she used to work with the Muslim Student Association. And the Muslim Student Association, it's actually recognized as a terrorist organization in USA.
So would you say that you have a rational fear of Islam?
I don't have no fear from Islam. I have concern for other people to be hurt, to be harmed because
That's
of Islam,
that's a
because of Sharia law.
Yeah, I really like the way you word that. A lot of people say, you know what, I am afraid of Islam. Call me an Islamophobe. Other people say, you know what, I have a rational fear of Islam. So, no, I disagree with that word. But you say, no, I don't have any fear of Islam. I'm spreading awareness. I'm educating people. And I have faith that we're going to be able to beat this. So that's a really refreshing answer to that question. I really appreciate that, Sandra.
No
The
problem.
last
And it's just
question.
a term, it's just a term to manipulate people, it's a psychological warfare we
Hmm.
have here, an ideological warfare. So
Yeah,
we have to be wise enough and smart enough and not to let any of these labels to make
yeah.
us look, down on all that. Is the same labeling when Muhammad, the founder of Islam, he labeled anyone who do not believe in him kafir. It's label like infidel. Kafir, it's the
Hmm.
actual word for infidel. So if this is, oh, you are kafir, you know what I mean? This that to justify, to bring to justification for them to take an action to quill us,
Mm.
for the quilling. Oh, you are
Yes.
kafir, I should kill you. You are Islamophobe, I should quill you.
Mm.
Same. And what's the difference between quilling and killing? No, I'm sorry. If you want to take my freedom of a speech, you rather to kill me.
It's a
That's
slippery
killing. That's a
slope.
killing. It's a
Yes.
slavery, right?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
are in a society. I'm sorry, I came to this country, freedom appreciated, and freedom of speech is the cornerstone of a democratic values of Islam doesn't believe in democracy and freedom of criticism criticism and freedom of thoughts, and people can think and discussion and have a peaceful discussion. I can have a very peaceful discussion with every Muslim in the face of the planet if they are
Yes.
willing to actually host me, and even in the mosque. I don't care. I would go. I will discuss with them in a very loving, peaceful way if they will open the door. But they don't understand that because the most thing can destroy Islam when you intellectually challenge them.
Hmm.
Islam will fall, and when you fight Islam politically, you destroyed Islam. Forget about the religion part of it, how the way they pray, the way they fast, and all that. Forget about it. I'm talking about the political level. If we fight Islam politically, yes, we can destroy Islam, and yes, we need to immune our constitution from Sharia law to be infringed. Slowly, slowly, we will have Sharia court like what's going on in UK. Slowly, slowly, we will have. It's like a slow process of.
Yeah.
It's not a, like a yeah. So we
It's
have
not
to
going to be an
be
overnight
vigilant.
victory.
It's not an overnight thing. Exactly. They start with motion, changing the law, removing FGM from the citizenship book guide,
Yeah.
removing child bride. It's as a
That's
barbaric
why I
action.
really appreciate that term creeping Sharia that Pam Geller coined,
Yeah.
right? Like that is just a perfect way to describe it because before you know it, it's crept in and here it is. One step after another, and surely enough, they've built an Islamic state. Before we go, there's just one more question that I want to ask you, Sandra. You're very, very proud to be Canadian. You're a big
Yes.
patriot, right? What
Yes.
would you say you love about Canada the most? What about Canadian culture or the country itself do you love the most?
Okay, the most thing that I loved when I first came to this country, I can walk freely, talk freely, live my lifestyle the way I want it, and I feel safe, I feel protected, I felt it. Not now, when with this, with Trude on his, but I love the green. I love the green in Canada. I love and especially
All the
when I went to
beautiful
the tour.
nature.
the beautiful nature. I love it. And the water, you have no idea how much summertime, I go every day to the lake shore and I do my relaxing and my meditation there. A very quiet peace. I felt the peace and the love, and I felt like no. When I came to this country, I felt like I felt my dignity back to me again after I've been oppressed and all that whatever I went through there in Middle East and Saudi Arabia. I felt I can breathe. I can have my freedom. I can express myself. I can think. I can talk. I can speak. I don't know fear nobody, and that's why I'm so passionate. That's why I love the Canadian values of protecting women. And there's a women values here. There's a women
Yes.
protection here,
Real
and
feminism.
we exactly the true feminism, not
Right.
not
Not
wearing a
this.
vagina head and
Yeah. This
and going up the street.
postmodern Marxist feminism that we're seeing these days, that's not real feminism.
Exactly.
Uh, I really appreciate what you just said there about the freedom that we get to enjoy here in Canada,
Yes,
both
the
being able
freedom.
to enjoy just a beautiful environment, immersing yourself with the amazing nature that we have here in Canada, as well as the cultural
Exactly,
freedom that we get
and
to.
especially when I go to the rallies and I see all these guys, and I really like, I feel like, especially like when I start hugging everyone, like, as a woman, in the Middle East, we cannot do that. You know what I mean? It's not something like the culture itself, the Canadian culture. It doesn't have that. They don't sexualize the women. We're not.
Mm,
I'm not looked at as a sexual object. You know what I mean? I can talk to all the guys, the patriots, and shake hands and hug them and all that stuff. I feel like the brotherhood,
yeah,
I don't feel like they are treating us as sexual objects.
yeah.
It brings back the dignity as a woman.
That's amazing. It's so funny, isn't it? Like Islam wants to kind of protect women. Well, this is what they say, right? This is the whole message that they send. That they want to
Yes,
protect women from being sexualized and this sexual object by covering them up. But that just assumes
exactly.
that they are. That assumes if they're not covered up, that all they are is this sexual object. But when you free a woman, when
Exactly.
a woman is allowed to dress and express herself how she feels, now you can truly look at that person as an individual. And if you do happen to be sexually
Yes.
attracted to her, hey, it's a free country.
Yes, I can, hug all the patriots when we go to the rallies. They're like my brothers. They're like, I don't feel like, anybody is looking at me as a, with all this, the Islamic thinking of women. As
Yeah,
soon as she uncovered herself and she associate with men and she hugged the guys and go out and play with the guys and all that stuff. Oh, she's a slut and you know what I mean? She's a cheap meat,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
are, they look at her as a something, cheap, and she's,
yeah.
she doesn't have a value, and that's why when the hijab came from actually covering the Muslim woman, because the uncovered women supposedly they are the sixth slave for the Muslim
Mm-hmm,
men.
mm-hmm.
So that's why I love Canada, and we will make Canada great again, Ronnie. And I really appreciate everything you do. You are amazing, and I learned so much from you. And I love the way when you go to the street and actually, challenge people. See, I like about you the intellectual challenge. This is very important. Liberals, lefties, and Muslims, they fail in front of intellectual challenge. When you
They do.
challenge them intellectually, they can't.
They fear
They
it.
can't
They
survive.
fear it.
They can't.
They realize that that's not in their best interest. If they want to gain support, if they want to gain votes, they should just shy away from those intellectual debates. And that's why we got to really press them and really push and show the people in the center that,
Yes,
us patriots, the people on the right, we're not afraid to have a conversation. We're not afraid to engage in
yes,
that type of intellectual dialogue. Sandra, thank you so much for
exactly.
joining me. This
Yes,
has been an amazing conversation. We got to do it again
yes,
sometime. I'm glad that
we
this
will.
Facebook invitation thing is finally starting to work a little smoother.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Phenomenal work
I
that you
hope.
do. Everybody who's out there, you should be following Sandra Solomon. Follow her on Facebook, follow her on YouTube. Sometimes we get shut down on Facebook, sometimes we get shut down on YouTube. That's why it's important to have multiple platforms and be able to network like this, just in case if anything happens to us, we can still help each other out. So thank you
Yes, and
very
I
much
do have
for
some
joining me, Sandra.
I do have some new educational videos. I did it. It's in my YouTube channel about FGM and many other stuff. I encourage people to go to my YouTube channel to watch it. Voice of Sandra Solomon, and of course, if anyone wants to help the cause, voiceofsandrasolomon.com. And please, please help Ronnie as well. We as activists, we need all kind of support. Ronnie as well. You have your website, and people can register into it, and not much. Of money, you know what I mean, if people wants to support you, because we have lots of demanding, all kind of demanding, for us to be go out and do lots of things. And I encourage everyone to be involved. Next year we need more boot on the ground. We will do even more rallies, we will do lots of activities. 2018, it's a year of a victory, and I really appreciate you, Ronnie, and I appreciate everything you do. And I hope many Canadian men, especially your age category, you know, they more of them, they young guys like you know, to come out and do what you do and support you and stand beside you. I stand beside you 100%. You're an amazing guy. You're loving, true Canadian patriots. God bless you and God bless Canada. And the last call for every patriot: we need to stand united. We need to stay united, and I plea for all the groups to leave everything, anything that happened in 2017 this year. Next year, it has to be a different level. With all patriots from all the groups, we have to leave every negative on a side, and we focus on Canada. We focus to get Trudeau out. We focus to protect this country. Canada need us more than any time ever. It's for our kids, for the new generation to come, for our women and our young girls not to be kidnapped and raped and all that stuff. So lots of things happening in Europe. Please wake up and open your eyes. We're not immune. Sharia law, it's creeping. Islamization, it's moving very fast in this country, and lots of things happening. United, we stand together. Patriots united will never be defeated, and we will make Canada great again. Thank you, Ronnie.
God bless, Sandra. Have a good night.
You too.
So that was a wonderful conversation there with Sandra Solomon. I'm really glad that she came on and joined me here tonight. For those of you who just tuned in late, you can join, or you can follow Sandra Solomon on Facebook. You can follow her on YouTube, and as well, if you want to follow me on YouTube, it's Propagander TV, all one word, Propagander, then capital T, capital V. And as well, you can subscribe to my website at ronnycameron.com. Moving forward, I'm going to be doing more of these interviews. I want to get people as familiar with the different patriots and activists throughout the country as possible. If you happen to know somebody who's very influential in the community, in the patriot movement, please send me a message, let me know, and hopefully I can get them on here. I got a couple people lined up, so it might take a little while, but yeah, I really enjoy doing these videos, and I look forward to doing more in the future. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and until the next time, guys, have a good one.